Hey, I want to thank you for taking a couple of minutes to watch this video. We're going to try to compress a bunch of information that we gave out a week and a half ago at a town hall meeting to a shorter section that you can watch, and hopefully you'll still be able to grasp the content of what we covered a few weeks ago. You know, it really feels like this is a defining moment season for us at Copper Hills. We're almost 2 months into our being in our new home in WestWing. And there's just been great things that God has been doing within our church family. And then as we've been reaching out to other people with the good news that Jesus loves them, I did a baptism just a couple of weeks ago that ended up being kind of spontaneous with a couple of people who had just said yes to Jesus in the weeks before, step forward and say they wanted to be baptized, and it was just a great moment. So we've had 3 people baptized already. There are a number of others that in the first couple of months that we've been at WestWing that have said yes to Jesus, and their lives are changing. And so these are just really exciting times for us. We've done a number of community service projects. Just recently we did a Clean Up the Community, a Community Pride Day along with the Community Association, and 80% of the people that came out and helped were from Copper Hills. And so there are great things that are happening, and we're kind of riding a wave right now of growth and impact and influence in the community, and we're grateful for that. At the same time, there are other things happening behind the scenes that we've been talking about for a long time. One of them has to do with the development of the campus in WestWing, the property that we purchased 2.5 years ago or so. And so I want to give you a bit of an update on that really quickly. We're just in the final days, maybe a week or two away from getting our sign off from the city of Peoria for the master plan that we put together and we've been working on for over a year now already. And what exactly is a master plan? Well, let me show you over here what you can see. You see a picture, a map, a plan of the site itself, but there's a lot of work that has to go into it, from engineering to putting buildings in the right configuration, finding out exactly what kind of buildings we need and function and so on. So the whole project has been preliminarily designed at this point. And so the city has looked at it, and we've met all of their criteria at this point. And so now what's left is really the final signatures on some documents, and that master site plan will be done and finished. There are other things that I want to give you an update on too as well. One of them is now is the TIME campaign. If you're not familiar with that, that's the title we gave to the campaign to raise funds to purchase the piece of land and provide the funds to do the master plan development. We've got 7 months left in that, and I want to give you an update as to where we are on that as well. But I want us to keep in mind the big picture. Beginning of this year, we talked about getting traction, individually getting traction in our faith, regardless of where we are on this faith journey, to say, God, take me to a new level, a new place with you. Or even if folks were at the place of saying, I'm not sure who God is and He's not part of my life and I don't get Jesus. Just challenged people for the whole first half of this year to say, well, what would taking the next step be? Get some traction. But we've also been talking about getting traction as a whole church family. And the move to WestWing was part of that. And deciding from here now what happens with the next phase of developing this campus is all about traction as well. What does God want to see happen at Copper Hills as it relates to this property? A year and a half ago, when we did kind of a mid-season course correction on our fundraising, we decided that we would raise funds not only to pay for the property, but we would raise funds as part of that to see this master plan develop. But we also committed at that time to take a pause when we got to the end of the master plan approval process, and that's kind of where we're at, and that also makes it feel like it's a bit of a defining moment for us. So about a week and a half ago, we got together at the community center in WestWing to talk a little bit about where we're at. And so if you'll hang with me, I'm going to jet through some data, some information that I hope will be helpful for you if you weren't able to be at that meeting. And so first of all, what I want to do is I do want to give you an update on the Now's the Time campaign. I'll throw some numbers at you. When we began the campaign 2.5 years ago, we had $117,000 in the bank in cash available for us. We took 3 months, and we said, let's raise as much capital, cash, as we can to pay for the property or put a down payment on it. And our church family was able to put together $279,000 for that. Then we said, let's take the next 3 years and let's see how much we could trust God for, and make some pledges based on some prayer and some thought. And so when folks spend some time thinking about that and praying together, we collectively as a church family pledged to raise $702,000 over the next 3 years. That's the total cash and capital and pledges that were set aside for this particular project. That is approximately $1.1 million. That's an amazing sum of money for a church of about 100 or so families. And we were delighted with what we felt God was asking us to do. So here's the update. We have, as I said, about 7 or 8 months left to go. And this is the pledge amount right here that people said that they would give over 3 years. Well, so far, at about, about 28 months or so, we have received $305,000 of that. That's about 43% of the total. That still leaves us a chunk to see come in. That's $397,000 yet to come in. That's a lot of money. If we stay on the track that we're on with the giving trends the way they are, we'll fall well short of that $702,000 that was pledged. So I want to just say a couple of things. One is, over the last months, we've had a number of folks that have joined our church family. They call Copper Hills home, but have never been asked to be part of this. And so I'm asking you today if you would prayerfully consider, over the next 6 months or so that are left in the campaign, would you be willing to prayerfully think through what you might want to see your family contribute to see the land paid for, and to maybe see us move on to the next phase of development. But I also want to challenge our church family. You know, I know for many people in our church, these are difficult economic times. There is really a recession that has real impact on our incomes for many of us in the church. It hasn't affected all of us, but it has a number of us. I want to just gently and directly encourage all of us. When we went to God and asked what it was that He might want to entrust us with so that we could give it back to this particular campaign, He knew in advance what the economy would be like at this time. And so my challenge is, finish strong. You can't give what you don't have, but would you just muster up the faith once again and trust God that what He's asked you to do 2.5 years ago, that He might still provide as we step out in faith. And so I think we can still meet this challenge. I really do. And I don't think God kind of gave a fake number. I think it's a real thing. And let's apply our faith to that. Okay, so that's now is the time campaign. Where are we at in terms of our land repayment? Well, we purchased the land for $1.2 million. And as of right now, if you take the money that we've put into it, minus the expenses for the master plan and the interest that we have paid on our loan, we borrowed $850,000. And as of today, we still owe $823,000 on it. We've paid a lot of interest. Even with great interest rates, we've paid a lot of interest. There's been a significant amount of funds that have gone to the architectural, engineering, traffic study, and so with the master plan, getting that done, and some professional fees that we've had to pay along the way. So there's still a ways to go. We're kind of right on target with what we expected based on the funds that we reallocated toward the master plan. But that's kind of where we're at in terms of what's owed on the land as of right now.